Alright, how's it going? So I'm back again for another rambling first impressions of Thor Ragnarok. So this movie has been out for a couple weeks at this point, and I did make a couple rambling first impressions, and I just listened to the one that I wanted to use, but I was like, it's not that good. I'm like walking home, so I'm kind of out of breath while I'm recording it. So we're just doing another one a couple weeks later to upload. Hopefully I can make this shorter. But anyway, just to preface, this is a non-spoiler review, so if you have not seen the movie, then don't worry. But at this point, if you're looking up reviews for this movie or discussion of this movie on the internet and you're digging this deep to find this, then you've probably seen it and you probably have some interest in it. But anyway, this is also just podcast style, so it's just a still image in the video space. So if that doesn't hold your attention, then don't listen or watch or whatever. So anyway, let's just get right into it. I really liked this movie. It was a ton of fun to watch, and it is, I'm thinking, yeah, it's my favorite Thor movie. Basically, when this movie was announced, I was pretty excited about it, and, before this movie came out, and just from seeing the trailers, I was pretty excited about it, because it looked like we were going to get an exceptional Thor movie. I think the other two Thor movies are fine. A lot of people talk about Dark World as, the worst movie that they've made, but, still the movie's, fine, It still has some good scenes, and Loki is cool in it. Thor's all... Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that movie too much, but this movie is certainly better than that one, and it's better, and I like it better, at least, than the first Thor movie. A lot more fun. But anyway, so what I like, my favorite thing about this movie is probably just the style and the aesthetic. It has, the absurd Marvel cosmic stuff in it, which is awesome, that kind of Jim Starlin stuff, some of that. It looks probably the most kind of psychedelic out of any of the MCU movies. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that one was pretty psychedelic as well, and Guardians of the Galaxy, for that matter. But I think this is probably more psychedelic and colorful and flashy than those movies are. And so I really enjoyed that. But also just the action and how they stylize it and how they design and put effects on the different characters, and when they're summoning their powers, like Thor's lightning or Surtur's flames, and just other visual effects in the movie, or other colorful effects in the movie. They look really good, and the style is awesome, and I really enjoyed that. So as far as acting goes, everyone is great and a great comedic presence. I'd say that this is probably the funniest MCU movie, in my opinion. I'm not, I don't find the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that funny. I mean, they're, supposed to be sort of comedies, so there's a lot of jokes, of course, I find some of them funny, but I don't feel like those movies hit as much as they should. The amount of jokes that they have in them, not enough of them are funny, in my opinion. Or at least in the first one. I've only seen the second one once, and I remember that I liked the jokes better than the first one, but there still weren't a lot that were kind of cringy. And I guess the second most funniest movie after Thor Ragnarok would be Ant-Man, which I like the humor in that quite a bit. And yeah, so pretty awesome humor. Like a lot of it, apparently like 80% of this movie was improvised. The thing about improvisational comedy is that if you have good actors, then the jokes can seem like really natural, and you know how they place them, and also just like the content of what they say usually can be, you know, substantial or clever or whatever. You know, if you've got quality comedians or actors or whatever. So yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, like we've got Grandmaster in this, who he's another character from you know, Marvel Cosmic that I like. Like he's in that Thanos Quest miniseries, which is pretty fun to see him here. You know, Starlin thing. And then I guess, yeah, we've got Valkyrie, who's a new character, who also, you know, very sassy character, which is, you know, there's kind of a fair amount of sassy characters in the MCU, but I guess she's a little, I don't know, I think the actor's take is a little different than what we've seen before. I don't know, I feel like her take is more comedic, certainly, than some of the other sassy characters that we've had in the past. This Valkyrie is pretty different from, like, that blonde Valkyrie in the comics. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the on-screen version of that specific character. I don't think so, because apparently there was you know, more than you know, just her. Apparently, you know, more than just her as like a member of the Valkyries. It was a squad, supposedly, and like that's not a spoiler because that was in the second Thor trailer, where there's that epic shot of all the Valkyries with like spears and swords stabbing things on their Pegasus. They were each riding a Pegasus, and yeah, so tone. I guess that's the thing that I kind of have questions about, like whether the kind of epic stuff and the comedic stuff meshes well. I mean, I enjoyed it all the same, but I don't know. I guess that's kind of my question, is like, how well is that actually balanced? But yeah, Thor, you know, the main character, his character arc is more significant than it has been in the previous movies, I guess. Like, and what I mean by that is that, like, the stakes are higher for him, and there's a greater, I guess, physical consequences that, you know, that could result from his actions and decisions. So I found that was cool. You know, Hulk, a lot has been borrowed from Planet Hulk in this movie, and I really enjoyed that stuff, you know, because it was just more cosmic stuff that was brought in. Yeah, Planet Hulk is a story that I read a couple of years ago, and it's a pretty good one. I have a couple questions about it, but I like it. I like it quite a bit. It wasn't something that I felt like I necessarily needed to see in like this continuity, but it was really fun and cool how they handled it. One thing that I do not like is World War Hulk, that is kind of a follow-up to Planet Hulk. That thing was kind of dumb, I guess. But it doesn't seem like, yeah, they're not doing World World War Hulk, which is really nice. Like in the MCU continuity. I'm glad that they're not doing a World War Hulk. So anyway, what else? I guess for villains, we've got Death, or Hela, played by Kate Blanchett. Also pretty funny. As far as, is she, one of the better villains in the MCU? I don't know, but she's charismatic and fun, a fun presence on screen, and has some pretty epic action scenes, and is a threat to Thor, and adds good tension in the movie. So maybe there's some things here and there that I don't like so much. Like, maybe I would have liked to see more of the Warriors 3 in this movie. I didn't find them... I don't know, like, they haven't been a big part of these Thor movies. They were in the first one, and I really liked the actors. But I don't know. I don't really feel like I've missed out. But that's because I'm not familiar with the Warriors 3 from the comics, so I don't know. I'm not very familiar with Thor from the comics. I'm interested in reading some Walt Simonson at some point, but I have not yet. And maybe some Jason Aaron. But I haven't done that yet. Like, those comics, the tone is pretty different than this movie. Not that that matters, but anyway. I guess, like, the Thor movies, they haven't really got me inspired to, like, go seek out, much more Thor material. I'm familiar with, like, the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. No, it's not Steve Ditko. It's Jack Kirby who draws the original Thor run, or part of it at least. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and thanks for listening.